All right, Sci-fi Express Lane, Jeff Carroll here. Let me bring this down a little bit. You can see my steering wheel. But doing my thing on the Sci-fi Express Lane, and I wanted to talk about the recent release of my 5th movie, Stay Out. Y'all heard me. The release of my 5th movie, Stay Out. Stay out, y'all. What? This movie I shot before the quarantine, of course, and it was delayed, 2 years before it was able to come out, and we really wanted to go hardcore. It was really my first time kind of taking full acceptance that I was influenced by another movie. This is like the first time I'm doing I wouldn't say knockoff, because it's not the same, but I was always influenced by movies like Atlantic Rim, that was inspired by Pacific Rim. That's why the movie I had come out last year, The Black Nun, was inspired by a movie called The Bad Nun, and so forth and so on. And you would see movies that were, black versions or different city versions of movies that were already out. And I said, man, that is such a cool idea. So after I saw Get Out and I saw Us, I decided, you know what, I was so frustrated with Us that I said, let me try to quell that frustration and direct it towards possibly doing something, even, doing something with it. Don't just complain, be proactive. I didn't like the ending of Us. I didn't like the payoff, so I was like, let me do something like that. I'm not going full Star Echoes and The Sixth Sense, but it's very similar to what I saw happen with that. Now, you'll see the movie Stay Out is about 2 couples, one white guy with a black girlfriend and one black guy with a white girlfriend, and they're traveling through Central Florida, which is a very racist area, or it is the heightened racist area of Florida. And interracial couples could definitely become targeted for that. So you already have that proximity, where I wanted to front load it. Where you see the movie Get Out, not everybody is overly paranoid about this black guy dating a white girl, going to meet her family. Some people are, but then there's other people that aren't. And I think the movie played on that because, Jordan Peele's a black guy with a white girlfriend and a white wife. And I know he went to meet her in-laws. And I'm pretty sure people was like, yo, dude, be careful. And I think that's probably where the story idea came from. He probably was like, what's going to happen? They're going to kidnap me? They're going to, eat me? They're going to kill me or take me back into slavery? So it was sort of a response to that. So when I saw that, I said, you know what, I could start my thing off. And then I wanted to have sort of like an Us experience, where when you get to wherever the house is that these guys, or place that these guys end up, they have an experience of oddness. In Us, the oddness like jumped right out, at them, and they started seeing themselves, and next thing you know, more things happen. So I kind of did not go the paranormal route, but I went the uncomfortable route. And when you see the payoff, it's a more to me, it definitely makes more sense. There's an element of it that is very much like Get Out. I have two characters played by one of them is played by my friend Keith Wade, and shout out to the actors and the actresses of it, right? Fransley, Celine, Dante, and I forget the black girl's name, man. I can't. I'll come back to it. I actually have it on my phone, so I can't even remember it. I think it's Melissa, right? Okay, so shout out to all of them, and they're all on the IMDb page, so you'll see that. And then you also have Keith Wade that's plays in it. And what I did with Keith's character was it was very similar to a character in Get Out, right? Where you had a dude being victimized, sort of kidnapped and whatever. And I wanted to show his backstory because I felt that, you know, in Get Out, you saw Lakeith give him the fist pound hand cover because he didn't seem like he understood it. And you saw the guy running at night, and saw the lady in the window with a tear in her eye as she tried to talk, and all she could get out was "No!" Right? And I wanted to get into that story as well. It wasn't room in Stay Out, but to promote Stay Out, I produced a comic book called Horror Streets. And in Horror Streets, there's a story called Don't Let Them Get in Your Head. And it's a really interesting backstory of this guy. And I have to promote that with it because to me, it was a package deal. I wanted you to read the comic and understand the characters, other characters, and also enjoy the movie. So if you do get out and take advantage of my movie Stay Out, this thriller, you know, and of course, if you've seen the poster, had to have my drag scene in there. You know, not drag queen, drag scene, where somebody gets dragged down the hallway or into darkness, and I got that, and it really looks good, and I was even able to use it on the poster. Fransley looks real scared on there. So that's it, really. I mean, it's I don't know how Jordan Peele front loads and promotes, you know, a movie that you can't tell too much about. But yeah, I just think for me, I can really pitch the Don't Let Them Get in Your Head, you know. And that story is it's a couple that's riding through, of course, again, Central Florida, same area, and the gentleman is suffering from post-trauma from result of racism and racial infractions. You know, he has had some first-hand racial violent experiences, and he's traumatized from it. So riding through a neighborhood where you see a bunch of Confederate flags and Trump flags, it can trigger, you know, it can trigger that trauma. So he has that type of experience in going through there. Whereas in Get Out, in my movie Stay Out, and same thing with Get Out, right? The couples are not concerned, right? And we know in Get Out the reason for that, but in my movie Stay Out, you know, I'm a school teacher. I teach, you know, high school students now, and I think I had taught high school and middle school prior to making this film. And their views of racism and the concern of racism are a lot different than my generation. And many times this generation doesn't really believe racism is that big of a concern, you know. And I guess part of it is people are going to jail for acts of racial violence, whereas in my generation they were getting away with it. So it was something that we still had to solve because it was unsolved crimes. Whereas now the crimes are getting solved. The people are getting penalized for it. So racism, at least the overt violent aspects of it, is not any different than running a red light. It's like, yeah, there's people that are racist, there's criminals out there, but they're gonna get caught. And I think that is the how this generation feels. There's never gonna not be racist. It's not. You gotta watch out for getting your car jacked. You gotta watch out for all this, and this add racist to it. So it's not that big of a deal. So for me, they're very cavalier about it. I wasn't necessarily that cavalier, but I wasn't also paranoid. I remember in the years of being an entertainment agent, I booked comedians all over the country, practically all over the world. I was like, y'all are adults, and you got a show in West Virginia, you got a show in Indiana, you got a show in Louisiana, Arkansas, Iowa. And you might be the only black person at the school, but that's why they're bringing you to Wisconsin. That's why they're bringing you to Oregon, or Seattle, or whatever, Utah. And I brought comedians regularly to these places. I would have a comedian in Indiana and Illinois for like 2 weeks. So dude would have 14 shows, 8 shows in 2 weeks. And I'm sure it's good money. You're making $1,500 a show, right? But now you're in areas like Indiana and Illinois, that not Chicago, it's not Indianapolis. You're in the countryside, and this is where a lot of racial hate is. Now the school is welcoming to you, but now you got to drive an hour, 2 hours to the next school. And the beautiful thing is, sure, you could drive during the day. A lot of these comedians weren't driving during the day; they were driving at night, or they was taking their risks. And I remember I had a comedian from Brooklyn who was going to remain nameless, right? Who was like, his car broke down, his rental car broke down, and he was like, Jeff, what do I do? I'm not going up to some Texas Chainsaw Massacre house, and knock on the door. I'm a black dude by myself. I'm going to disappear, And this was, luckily we had cell phones, and he was able to get cell phone coverage, right? So I was like, man, go ahead, man. Call the police. I'll call the police and try to get you out. We didn't even trust the police, and it was like, oh my God, what do we do? And it just, that dilemma. It was like we didn't have a green book, and even if we did, there wasn't no what do you call it? AAA, superhero black people that could come out and rescue you. You was on your own if you was in the sundown town, what used to be a sundown town. So, and I didn't even know the term sundown town until when I made this movie. It wasn't until Lovecraft Country. But just his fear, right? And this guy is bigger than me. He's like 6'3", big dude, not muscular or threatening, but definitely big sizable guy. And he's from Brooklyn. So I was like, this guy's concerned, right? I'm not gonna say scared, but he's concerned. And I was like, wow, that fear is real deal. And I can imagine driving through actual Texas and being scared that you might break down in the middle of the day, because in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they broke down in the middle of the day. So if any of those fears can be something that you want to experience or check out, not experience, let me say, if you can connect with that fear, right, you can understand it, you will really enjoy my movie, Stay Out. So with all said and done, there's a link to the trailer, there's a link to the streaming platforms. You can Google Stay Out, Jeff Carroll. There's another movie or a TV show with the name Stay Out, but mine is the movie distributed by Wild Eye Releases. So, get on it, check it out, and that's it. But you'll enjoy it. Hit me back. I may make another one after people start make another video after people start viewing it and have questions for me. But right now, that's really all I feel comfortable saying. Pray for the 4 kids that's in this car, because they don't come out the same way that they go in, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And there is definitely room for a sequel, so I'm open to that as well. All right, peace.